There are a ton of mechanics that players overlook in CS2, but if you actually want to rank up, it's not just about aim or utility. Today I'm breaking down 5 core skills every serious Counter-Strike player needs to master to climb fast. If you're not sure you can trust me, I'm Louis, a 3000 elo player on Faceit, and I play internationally with Team USA at LAN events around the world. We'll start with the fundamentals, peeking mechanics like jiggle, swing, and jump peaks, then move into crosshair placement, movement, game sense, and more. I won't just tell you what to do, but explain why it works and how to train it starting today. I've included timestamps in the description below, so you can skip ahead and revisit any tip you like. So being able to trade teammates is very important, especially if you are a solo queue player. And a lot of you guys might be wondering watching this video, like, why can I never trade, or why do my teammates always get double killed? It's because they have bad spacing. So I'm going to explain on how you can always make sure that you're guaranteed the trade. Now, trading is sometimes all about tactically baiting. One big rule in trading is to never go butt to butt. If you see these two bots right here in front of me, you can see that there's about a 2-player space in between them, and they are not butt to butt at all. But if I go over here towards a main, you're gonna see that these guys are literally side by side. Now, what makes this very important is how easy it is to get a double kill. If I were to go over here and shoot a wall and want to spray transfer, if there was a teammate right beside someone, you can see how easy it is for me to control my spray. But if someone wanted to wide swing me and have a 2-player space, I would have to track and then try to go back over. And you can see how much different my spray is reacting and how much more space I have to cover in this transfer, that maybe I whiffed a few bullets on the first guy and killed him, and then I have to somehow transfer. Or maybe I'm just straight up whiffing and then I don't know how to control my recoil, and then all of a sudden my bullets are just everywhere and I get traded. This is what you guys have to think when you're putting yourselves inside of your opponent's minds with your game sense on how to effectively trade. Now, one thing that would make it so you obviously can't trade your teammate is, let's say I was entering over here towards E-box and I just did a peek like this. This is really bad because I'm giving my teammate no space to actually trade on me, because as the entry, I need to be taking space and dragging the crosshair. A good comm, if you do play on a team, is to tell your teammates, I'm going to drag his crosshair, which tells the person behind you, okay, I know I need to sit here, wait for the 2-player space, and then swing on this guy. Because if you know, obviously, that your teammate is going to literally just wide swing into oblivion, you're going to also be able to take the space that he just took and then trade if someone does decide to try to keep killing him. So multifragging is very important, especially in a team, but it's also more important when you're solo queue, because when you're solo queuing, if you don't get more than 1 kill, chances are you're going to lose the round. So with that being said, you guys need to use your game sense and your positioning skills to be able to get more than 1 kill. So a good example of this is on Dust 2, and let's say that I help my teammates take long. You know, I throw my double flashes, they take long, we get the pit insert, and we get the information that the T's did not take long. Now, if we use our game sense and understand how the T's play on Dust 2, chances are if they want to go A, it's going to be from cat. So I need to be pre-planning in my head, and this is something that a lot of newbies don't do, is to pre-plan on how we can get more than 1 kill in this position and where I should position myself. So since I have a teammate inside a pit and they haven't pressured long, I can see that he would be a support player in my mind, and I also see that I can position myself around this box as well. So since I know that chances are T's might go up cat, I would be sitting here spotting, waiting to take a duel. Maybe 1 swings before they throw their little ledge smoke and I get a free kill. Now I would decide to tuck. Now I don't want to peek the same angle, because since the T's know that I'm there, they would be scaling, looking at me where I just peeked, expecting me to re-peek, but that's something that you guys don't want to do. Now is the time that you already pre-planned in your head and you know who your support player is, where if you played this correctly and communicated correctly, you should have been telling your pit player, hey, if they go up cat, be ready to flash for me. And once I get this kill and say, hey, they're running up cat, I would already have a flash coming out and I would fight from a different angle. And then once I get this kill from my teammate's flashbang, that's already 2 kills. And now I can literally just sit here on this box and wait for anyone to swing sight, because if you guys know anything about team play, which also falls back into game sense, I could have a teammate in pit just sitting here, and we're going to be taking the same exact line. Since he's seeing this right side of sight, if I sit here, I can just pop up and shoot as well, and then that guarantees me at least 3 kills. And this can work on almost any part of the map, but the most important thing that you guys have to remember about this is the game sense and the communication. So one of the most important things that you guys need to understand and master is your game sense. Now, game sense will pretty much help you get kills and really just find out how the other team is playing, and you'll be able to easily predict them. So on CT side of Ancient, a lot of teams love to play either 2 or 3 in mid. So on my team, I'm actually the mid defaulter, where I sit right here outside of elbow on most rounds, and my goal is to listen. Now, the reason I'm listening is to gather info, and if you have good game sense, you can actually determine the CT setups just by the nades that are thrown in mid. So one example of this is, let's say that at the start of the round, the CTs want to throw double mollies where they're going to molly deep and then molly close. This is a big tell that they're going to fight for mid. But one thing that you're also going to listen for is support. Since most of the time by by default, it's always going to be 2 players down towards the mid. If I hear flashes landing to the left, maybe 2 or 1 flash, this will tell me that there's definitely 3 towards A, and I would call my team to literally just take space out A, because chances are they're going to be gapping towards A. Now, these little things, just by understanding how CTs will play, can help you guys a lot to just find this opening space or nice opening duels, where if I was on my team and I told my A defaulter DJ to say, hey, go take space towards A, he will be cautious because of his game sense, because sometimes there might be an opper posted on temple, so he would just take his time throwing nades, understanding rotation timings, and then he would take his space off of his util, understanding his game sense, understanding rotations. Now let's talk about mastering positioning so you can win more duels, but first let me tell you about the Monkey. Skins Monkey is a CS2 skins trading site marketplace that provides an instant way to get new skins. My favorite thing about Skins Monkey is that I can trade skins that I no longer want and trade it for a skin that has equal value. If you use code LouisCS2, you get a $5 bonus on your first trade, and if you want to buy skins, you can get a 30% deposit bonus plus an extra 5% using my code. The link is down in the description. Thank you, Skins Monkey, for sponsoring this video. Now, something else that ties into game sense is positioning, and positioning is important because it can set you up in different ways where you can either use your utility or just buy extra time for rotations. So a good example of this is on Inferno. Let's say that I am the lane player and I for some reason get backed up from lane because the T's wanted to take brackets, and now I'm over here towards site. One thing that I don't want to do is expose myself to multiple angles. So if I was looking to duel anyone towards lane, I don't want to be standing by this box. Now, playing around objects is very important in positioning, but if I'm playing here, you can see that not only am I going to be dueling lane, but chances are I might even duel someone into halls. So you always want to make sure that you're positioning yourself where you're not exposed to multiple angles. So instead, if I did get backed up, I would want to play somewhere over towards here, or if I had a pit player in pit to hold my lane, I could back up and play behind this box right here. Now, what makes these positions really important, since I am only holding one angle, if I have any extra utility, I can use it. Let's say I get backed up towards the lane and now the T's want a halls pop. If I sit here and get 1 kill, I can tuck and just use my utility and just be disruptive, because from a T's perspective, if I'm coming out halls and I see this smoke, I know someone's mid-site, but I have no idea where he is. Now, this smoke also opens up the ability for me to literally move around anywhere. I can try to one-way on top of this box. I can play on the edge of the smoke to kill anyone crossing that jumped out of apps, and it also makes room for, let's say, if I have an arch player, and now my arch player can just come into sight and just try to isolate any duels that I couldn't, and I could even still be behind the box and just play a total guessing game for the T's, because once they see this smoke, they really have no idea where I am when I get out, which makes it really hard for them to take any space onto site. So something that will apply to not only solo queue, but especially in a team environment, is trusting utility and having confidence. Now, what I mean by this is pretty much just trusting that your teammates are throwing the correct utility, so you don't even have to worry about a certain angle. And a good example of this is entering out A on nuke, or if I have a teammate that's sitting here throwing back silo nades, and let's say, for example, he's throwing the back silo flash. So when I'm coming out of hut, I'm not even going to be looking at this space at all, because I'm trusting and having confidence in the utility. So when this flash goes off in the air and I'm sitting in hut or running out with it, I'm going to be scaling like this, just full trusting in the utility. It pretty much goes same for every single map that you play inside of Counter-Strike. We can even give the example over here towards door, where if we want a door pop and my teammate's smoking mini and flashing into mini, I'm not even going to be looking at mini, because I have confidence in that utility. You need to have confidence that your teammates are going to be throwing a good flash, and you want to swing with the flash with purpose and confidence. So if you ever had a game where you feel like you just can't aim, or maybe you just feel totally off and you're getting bullied in your position, that is one reason why you should be buying the op. This op is called the crutch weapon for a reason, and that's because it can help you carry a lot of games. Now, one way that you can master the op is to obviously just play in positions that can guarantee you first kills. Like, for example, on train, if I wanted to find a first kill, I would be playing around towards camera or around bomb train trying to kill anyone out rushing out through T-con, or I would be down here playing towards lower ramp trying to kill anyone trying to come B. Now, something that a lot of people don't do, especially in pugs, is they don't feel comfortable buying it, but you guys shouldn't be scared at all. Or let's say that I was sitting here playing towards the B bomb site, just constantly jiggling and getting bullied and pre-fired every round, trying to use my utility, and it was all just not going good for me. I would simply just buy an op, hold for anyone trying to bully me up here towards upper, and I would just simply punish them with this gun. And I could also switch it up by coming over here towards upper and trying to kill anyone coming through brown halls, or kill anyone trying to go towards ladder. Now, if you ever wonder why some players are just so confident on certain rounds, the reason is that they understand how the economy works inside of Counter-Strike. So understanding the economy helps you position yourself in certain ways to get pretty much just free kills on whatever round that the enemy is ecoing on. So a good example of this on a map like Inferno is if I know that the T's are on eco, I could literally just sit on balk and just hard hold
hold for these people to obviously just halls pop, because that is a common strat that people will run if they are on pistols. Now, another good example is over here towards B as well, where if I know that they are on eco, chances are a lot of noobs love to rush B. So I would simply just double nade banana with my teammate and either get, you know, 5 free kills or just get them totally damaged up, so then I could just spray them all down when they run past half wall. Now, if you don't understand how the economy works, everything is pretty much inside of the scoreboard, where you can see how much the T's or the CTs will be getting next round. And most of the time, if they do have full loss, they might buy around just their full loss bonus. But one important thing to note is if they do somehow have 0 loss and they buy twice in a row, the next round they're guaranteed to save. So if you are a solo queue player, this skill is probably the most important thing that you need to do, and that is become a jack of all trades. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about the roles inside of Counter-Strike. You need to be able to play all of these roles, and each position on every map falls into a role. So on Mirage, the B side player is obviously an anchor. The cap player is a rotator. Same with the window player. He's a rotator and opper. The con player is a rotator, and the A player is an anchor. Being able to play any of these positions will help you in your solo queue games, because chances are you might have that guy with an ego that thinks he's the best con player in the world and just always plays con every round, and you might have to fill over towards B or A, or even be the opper in window. This is very important if you guys want to make sure that you are winning your games and trying to rank up, rather than just trying to be a good teammate. Now, if you do play on a team, trying to stay consistent with where you're playing is important, but if you do want to rank up in Counter-Strike, you need to be able to master all of these. So if you are an anchor over here towards the A site, you want to make sure that you know how to start the round by mauling towards ramp, flashing mid, keeping utility when the T's hit the site. So if I'm playing around default, I can throw my lurch smoke and buy time for my rotators, have them flash over where I can fight and just buy time, make sure the T's can't take any space. If I'm the con player, I want to make sure that I am blocking con, making sure they can't come up towards cat, helping my window player with his flashes, or my A player. If you're obviously the opper in window, you want to make sure that you are at least decent with this gun. And if you are the cat player over here, you want to make sure that you are just trying to help the con player by, you know, smoking bottom con for him, blocking underpass, holding flashes if they want to fight towards mid, really trying to make sure that you're keeping control of ladder room. And then obviously the B anchor is pretty much the same as the A anchor, where you're just spotting, buying time, throwing utility, just keeping the space away from the T so they can't take any map control. All these things are really important that also fall down into game sense. Now, if we do talk about the T side, there's not really many roles that you have to understand besides pretty much just entrying and lurking. If you are an entry, you want to make sure that you're taking space and also making space for your teammates to trade you, like we talked about, where when you are swinging out to take fights, you're giving enough room for your teammates to actually trade you. And then pretty much the fundamental thing for lurks is to pretty much find timings out onto places where maybe the CTs won't expect, because we have to insert ourselves in the minds of a CT. So if my teammates are really hard fighting mid, that's when I would want to walk out and try to kill this guy on A site. But if it is a lot for you, just trying to find 2 roles just to master will definitely help you tremendously in your solo games. So one skill that a lot of people don't have is confidence in duels. Now, I did talk about having confidence with utility, but one thing that you guys need to do is you need to peek with purpose, because once you start hesitating or second guessing yourself by just kind of like half peeking or just not even peeking at all, you're putting yourself at a total disadvantage. Since CS2 has really heavy peekers advantage, if you just peek like this halfway, half committed, chances are you're going to die, because someone in ramp will literally just be holding like this and get a nice free easy kill like they're almost playing on land. So when you are deciding to fight somewhere, you want to make sure that you're doing it with purpose and you're swinging hard. So if I do decide I want to fight mid with my team and I get flashes over, I don't want to just sit here and just kind of like jiggle out and just not really peek at all. I want to make sure that I'm moving fast, pretty much like Donk does, and always going with purpose. So I'm always moving, I'm always trying to fight with confidence, having the ability to maneuver and the mindset that I'm going to out aim anyone that comes in my crosshair. And doing this will change your whole mindset when you are playing in CS2. So learning how to peek is very important, because it's a good mechanic if you want to be a very skilled player inside of Counter-Strike. And there's 3 types of peeks that we're going to go over, which is jiggle peeking, wide swinging, and jump peeks. So jiggle peeking is a very simple concept, but a lot of people mess up on this, because when you jiggle, you only want to be showing your shoulder like this. And this is important because a lot of newbies will jiggle peek like this, where they're pretty much showing their body, but they think that this is a jiggle. Now inside of Counter-Strike, you can actually show your shoulder without even seeing the angle that you're trying to jiggle. So one important thing when you are jiggling, like a good example over here in Palace, if I know someone is opting stairs and I'm stuck on this wall, I just want to be shouldering before I actually see the angle. And then once I start to jiggle 2 to 3 times, that's when I would want to peek. Because again, if there is an opper, let's say posted on stairs onto Palace, he is going to try to timing shoot me where he sees my shoulder. He might shoot on the first shot, he might shoot on the second, but now he has to guess when I'm going to swing. And one of the most important things about jiggle peeking that some people don't talk talk about is that it also creates timings. And what I mean by that is, let's keep the same example where there's an opper on stairs. If I was to just jiggle peek 2 times like this and then freeze and not do anything for 1 to 2 seconds, this opper is going to get lazy, thinking that maybe I'm just going to sit there. He's trying to guess when I'm going to peek. He's trying to think maybe he wants to pre-fire me. And that's when I would swing out after the jiggle peek and have the upper hand on him. Now, the second type of peeking that we're going to talk about is wide swinging. Now, wide swinging is important because it pretty much makes the other person in the duel have to drag their crosshair. Like a good example of this, if I was sitting here at top con, I knew there was a T sitting bottom con, maybe knowing that I'm in this position, I would want to wide swing like this. And the reason is, if he's sitting here at bottom con and I decide to swing, he's going to have to drag his crosshair like this. He's going to have to try to control his recoil while it's moving. There's so many things that he has to worry about that I don't have to worry about because I know exactly what I'm doing. If you want to appear really fast, you want to swing close to the wall. The only disadvantage of this is that he is going to be seeing you first. Now, if I want to have a 50-50 duel, I'd want to back up from the wall and then peek, because then we would see each other at the same exact time. But one of the things that people have recently discovered inside of CS2 is that if you actually straight to the left and then wide swing, you're going to be at a higher velocity when you're actually peeking the angle. So when you are wide swinging, you want to make sure that maybe if you're facing an opper, you want to appear really fast. I want to get close to the wall, swing left, and then swing right to have the upper hand. Or if I want the 50-50 duel, but still want to be fast and max velocity past this angle, I would straight to the left really quick and then swing out and then take my duel. Now, the third way of peeking is for info gathering. A lot of people don't really know how to gather info when they're peeking. A lot of people might just peek off a flash and just wide swing out mid from cat and just think that this is info, but in reality, they're just putting themselves in no man's land, and there's no trade potential or refrag potential, which puts them at a really big disadvantage. So one thing that you guys can do for jump peeking is literally just strafe around a corner like this. And what makes this jump really important is that you're peeking at the apex of your jump. So when I'm going around this corner, I'm going to be pretty much up here at this wall. So if someone was sitting over here in top mid, he would have to flick up and he can only hit half of my body. So even if he gets one shot on me, I pretty much take no health at all, and I get a lot of info by just doing this. And since you're so fast while strafing and it is so quick, even if you don't have the chance to actually see the opponent on your screen, you will see a question mark pop up on your map, which makes it really important to gather info by peeking this way.
If this video helped you, check out this video on one tip for every gun in CS2 by clicking the video on screen now.